St. Louis. Oh, what the hell is all this? Especially this one. This is from Loke the Bounty Hunter. Shout out to him.
I had the best interaction with a man tonight. I want other men to take notes. I'm so sorry. I look this way. And I see this guy, and I just compliment his shoes. I was just being nice. I was like, I love your shoes. And he was like, thank you. And then he's like, oh, I noticed you on the dance floor. I said, ooh, I caught your eye. He goes, you did. You caught my eye. I said,
yeah, this is probably your last chance to find a boyfriend, sweetheart.
okay.
Let me see if I can get this straight here. You're outside of a club, most likely drunk and smoking a cigarette, and you see a guy and compliment him on his shoes, therefore starting a conversation. This guy, who I'm also going to assume is drunk, is also wanting to have a conversation with you, so he gives you a compliment, and then after you got what you wanted, you tried to walk away from him. And you only walked away after you started flirting with him. Is there a point to it?
Yeah, her thing is about boundaries and blah, blah, blah.
Morning.
Oh, yeah, it is this bitch.
Today, I woke up in my best friend's guest bedroom wearing a matching
So, okay, she woke up in her best friend's guest bedroom.
set of pajamas that she got me for the holidays. And then
They're wearing matching pajamas.
I went to the kitchen and had a slice of sourdough bread that she made freshly that morning.
Hey, if that's true, no disrespect, sourdough bread is a pain in the ass.
And then we yapped until noon and went to do our errands. And then we went to the gym together. We took selfies together. I had a solid top set single of...
So, no mention of a husband in this.
Wow, so you woke up alone in someone else's bed and they'd ate breakfast with your friend and then
Yeah, initially I thought it's like, are her and her best friend just gonna fucking hook up at this point? Hot.
ran off.
She is literally living in her friend's guest bedroom. Because her friend is married. I will either give this guy the simp brand or I will take it away under one condition.
And then we're going to go to a nice fancy dinner with her lovely husband who can naturally engage in hot girl yap. He's like...
Okay, so they showered. They returned to their PJs for some fucking reason. Then they're going to get dolled up and go to dinner with her husband, who I'm assuming he's paying for all this. Now, again, I will remove the simp label if one thing is true. Otherwise, he needs to tell this bitch, get the fuck out of my house or pay rent.
Translation?
Okay, this is where I'm going to end this particular video. If and only if the husband is fucking these two, will I not remove that? Will I, as the Lord of Patriarchy, remove the simp label? If he's having a three-way with him, fine. Take him to dinner. If he's not, you're a fucking simp. You're a piece of shit. If you're not fucking her, then tell her either get the fuck out of my house or give me some damn rent. Sorry, but... Again, if I'm taking the time to cuddle you... Anywho.
If we're somewhere that's transient and utilitarian like most of America, what signal does that send to our brains? That we're in a place that values only efficiency and cost cutting.
Well, yes! When I am at Target, I would like things to be as efficient and as cheap as possible. I'm not there for the grandeur of Target.
A place that sees little worth in beauty or permanence.
Again, why does Target need to be the fucking Sistine Chapel?
The functional over the inspirational.
Oh my God. McDonald's, its whole purpose is to be extremely functional and efficient. I'm not buying McDonald's to get a good juicy burger. I'm buying McDonald's to get calories in my belly. Jesus fucking Christ. Like Budweiser. It's beer. It's not a craft brew. It's not seasonal. It's Budweiser.
He's clearly got some mental health issues, but he's an extremist. He's an anarcho-capitalist, right? And so he won the election in Argentina.
Okay, well, this is Argentina. I'm not a citizen of their country. What do you want me to fucking do about it? Fly down there and belt out, "Don't cry for me, Argentina. Your food is really slop. It gives me the shits. I cry on the toilet. Argentina."
Which hardcore Ayn Rand type anarcho-capitalist, right? But
yeah, but a lot of government spending can be cut and nobody would notice or give a shit. But I am generally in favor of limiting the government and what it deals with. And getting it the fuck out of people's lives. But again, Kyle, I'd rather listen to a libertarian talk than a fucking socialist like you. Or Bernie Sanders. In fact, I'd rather fuck a cactus than listen to Bernie Sanders talk. I, Dave Nordahl, Lord of Patriarchy, Warden of Video Games and Keeper of the Beer, do hereby revoke your man card.
who wants to live in a system where we don't ban child labor? That's a libertarian idea.
Well, we have child labor right now. By the way, so did the communist USSR. Hell, so did every communist country, for Christ's sakes. Hell, communist countries right now. And the best way to get rid of child labor is capitalism. But again, we still have child labor in this country right now. We have 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, and 17-year-olds working. Now, granted, they're part-time jobs that mean less than nothing. They're not supporting a family, but they're still technically working. The reason they elected this motherfucker was because the Argentinian populace was sick of the leftward drag towards socialism, which corrupted and destroyed their neighbor, Venezuela. Jesus fucking tap dancing, toe sucking Christ. How many times does capitalism have to fail and destroy everything before you finally admit in your peroxide-addled brain it doesn't fucking work? All right, now let's get to the request. Everyday Sexism with Laura Bates at TEDx Covent Garden Women. Okay. All right, what is everyday sexism? What? LOP Finn, what did I ever do to you? Did I, break a sister's heart or a niece's or a fucking cousin?
About 18 months ago, I had a really bad week.
You had a bad week 18 fucking months ago and you're not over it. This is the definition of privileged.
I was on my way home from work one night, and it was one of those hot evenings where the traffic was at a standstill. And as I walked down the road and the cars crawled next to me, some guys started shouting out of their car windows about my legs, about the thing.
Okay, so they just shouted at you. Big fucking deal. Unless this moves to one of the guys got out and grabbed you and put you in the car, all they did was yell compliments at you. But don't worry, honey, it will stop one day.
Things that they'd like
to typically when you're 30.
Do to me. And I ignored them, and I carried on home, and I got on with it, like you do.
Okay, so some guys yelled maybe some inappropriate things, I want to be fair, and you got home, and you were safe. What is the problem? Words do not hurt anyone. And again, right now, you are at probably the hottest you're ever going to be. Enjoy the compliments.
And then a few nights later, I was on the way home on the bus quite late at night, and I was on the phone to my mum. And I thought at first that the guy next to me just accidentally brushed my leg with his hand. And I carried on talking to my mum. And then I realized that actually he was grabbing and groping my leg and moving his hand up towards my crotch.
Okay. Wait, something is not adding up. So you thought a guy accidentally brushed your leg. Now a brush would be like this, like a very. How in the hell did that go in literally one sentence to he's now at my upper thigh moving to my pussy? You know what? I hate to do this, but fuck it. I'm going to press X on this never happened. I'm taking out things that didn't actually fucking happen to a blonde British bitch for 500, Alex.
And I stood up to move away from him, but because I was on the phone to my mum, I vocalized it in a way that I didn't think I would have done otherwise. So I said, I'm on the bus, this guy's groping me.
Of course, the thought of getting a boyfriend or a husband didn't cross your mind. You wouldn't have these problems. But I really doubt some guy just started to randomly grope you on a bus. I mean, unless he's an out-of-his-mind homeless person, and again, it makes my case for the asylum system to come back.
And everybody on that bus looked out the window, or looked down at their feet, or looked at their phone.
Bullshit. Okay, this didn't happen. You're making shit up.
Certainly nobody stepped in, but more than that, there was a real sense of, why are you making a fuss about this, woman? You know, this is your issue. Deal with it. Don't make us have to think about it. And that immediately made me feel ashamed. It made me feel like maybe I'd done something.
Oh, come on. I can't believe that let's assume this happened. There is no way the men of the UK have become that pussified.
Something wrong, or I shouldn't have been there on my own that late at night, or I shouldn't have been wearing what I was wearing, and all of those thoughts that reaction triggers. And again, I carried on. I went home.
And again, this shit never happened. I mean, this didn't fucking happen.
I didn't mention it. I got on with it, like you do.
Or if it did, the guy that was doing it was probably your boyfriend at the time. But since you two broke up, now he's a rapist monster.
And then a couple of days later, I was walking down the street in broad daylight, and there was a big truck that was being unloaded. Some scaffolding was coming off the back of it, and there were two guys working together. And as I walked past, one of them turned to the other and said, "Look at the tits on that." Not.
Okay, he's giving you a compliment. Big deal. You know, women make comments about men all the fucking time too, sweetheart.
Not her, that. And they started discussing me as if I wasn't there, even though I was 1 meter away and I could really clearly hear them. So the thing that really hit me about these 3 incidents was, if they hadn't all happened in the same week, I never would have thought twice about any one of them.
I guarantee you this didn't happen in a week. You're lying. You're telling me that you got catcalled on your way home, you took the train another day, and some guy basically tried to molest you, and then Some guys were carrying, I don't know, beams or whatever, and they complimented your tits. Yeah, that doesn't happen to any woman anywhere in any week of any year. You are lying.
And I started asking myself why that was. Why was this so normal? Why was I so used to them? And I started thinking back about hundreds of incidents that had happened over the weeks.
Again, don't worry about it. Pretty soon, you're going to hit the wall, and men are going to make you invisible.
The months and years that I'd never said anything about to anyone because it was normal. And I started talking to other women and asking them, women I knew, older women, younger women, women I met.
Well, trust me, if it was up to me, I'd make a law that says every single guy, once a year, a man is allowed to spank a woman.
Saying,
like a husband is allowed to spank his wife once a year.
have you ever experienced anything like this? And
We'll make it a Christmas Eve tradition, just to make sure they're in line.
honestly thought that one or two women would have a story, that one or two people would say, yeah, a few years ago this thing happened, or I once had a job where this happened. But it wasn't like that. It was every woman I spoke to.
Yeah, just like the famous viral video of the woman getting catcalled in New York. It's a 2-minute video that took her 10 hours to make. Yeah, if you walk around, yeah, as a woman, I will say, if you walk around the most populous city in the world and you are above a 5, you're going to get catcalled. But the best you got is 2 minutes of footage out of 10 hours. Sorry, I don't think catcalling's that big of a deal.
And it wasn't a few years ago, this one incident. It was hundreds of things. It was on my way to meet you today, this happened. Yesterday, this happened. Most days, this happens. But just like me, until I asked them, they'd never told those stories to anyone because they were used
to... Sierra, no man gets catcalled at all. But women do comment on men's bodies. The most famous one was the supposedly female-only screening of Wonder Woman. A guy bought tickets, and they let him in. He was with a largely female audience, and they all started hooting and hollering like fucking little schoolgirls when Aquaman rose from the ocean without his shirt on. And good on him!
Used to it because it was normal. So I started trying to speak up about this because I was kind of realizing there was this huge problem, and I started trying to talk about it. And again I got the same response. People said, stop making a fuss. Women are equal now, more or less. And if women are equal now, then to talk about sexism, to complain about sexism, must be overreacting.
Well, women and men are equal now. But honestly, when was this made? Oh, 10 years ago. So the problems really hadn't started. I'd be more worried as a UK citizen, the fact that rather than getting catcalled, you can get arrested for a Facebook post over in England. Because they don't have freedom of speech laws and they have hate speech laws. So I'd be more worried about that than if some guy, said to some chick she has a nice ass. Or if some chick screamed at me that I had a nice ass. I'll be right back. I have to take a pee break.
Or maybe you don't have a sense of humor. Or maybe you need to learn to take a compliment. Or maybe you're a bit frigid or uptight. Or you need to learn to take a...
Well, yeah, you probably should just take the damn compliment if somebody... Because trust me, when you... I don't get this. Lady, it's not gonna last very long. So yeah, take the damn compliment. How should I tell you that you're pretty? What? Write it on parchment paper and send it over with a fine bottle of champagne?
Joke.
By the way, you do have nice tits.
And I thought maybe they were right. Maybe women are equal now, more or less. Perhaps I was overreacting. So I thought I'd look into it. I thought I'd interrogate that claim. And I did, and these are some of the things that I found. Women are equal now, more or less.
Okay.
Except that in our Houses of Parliament, where the policies that affect all of us are debated and defined, less than 1 in 4 MPs is a woman.
Yes, because women don't want that particular job. You know, this is the fucked up thing. The more freedom we give women, the more likely they are to do traditionally women jobs. Or traditional female jobs. Sorry, sweetheart, but most of the great artists have and always will be men. Because in the arts, it's like intelligence. Where men run the gamut from extremely smart to extremely stupid, and women are somewhere in the middle. Generally with the arts, you kind of see the same thing, where you have extremely talented men, extremely shit men, and women are somewhere in the middle.
I found that fewer than 1 in 10 of our engineers is female, less
Because they don't go into STEM.
than half the proportion of France or Spain. That our Royal Society, one of our most prestigious scientific institutions, has never had a female president, and just
Because again, women don't go into STEM.
5% of the current fellowship are women. And that whilst women make up 50% of chemistry undergraduates, they're only 6% of professors. Are dominated by male subjects or experts.
Painful!
That women directed just 5%.
All right, I'm speeding her up.
And then I looked into the crime statistics. Women are equal now, more or less, except that in the UK, over 2 women a
Okay, wait a second. Hold up.
week are killed by a current or former partner. There's a
Yeah, and probably 3 to 4 men are killed every week. Crime has always been done predominantly by men, but we are also the overwhelming victims of crime. But somehow when it's a woman, it's worse.
phone call to the police every minute about domestic violence. Every 6 or 7 minutes, a woman is raped, adding up to over 85,000 rapes and 400,000
no. Just no. They have this has been debunked. If you were talking about the Congo, maybe you'd have a point. But you're not. There is no way a bitch is getting raped in merry old England every 6 minutes.
assault.
The problem is you have changed the definition of rape and sexual assault to the point that if a man gives an unwanted hug, it's considered sexual assault.
Every year.
And I'm sorry, but certain things are not that. If a man forces a kiss on you, while I do believe it is wrong, it's not sexual assault, and it's certainly not rape. The guy was just a dick.
In the UK, a woman has a 1 in 4 chance of becoming a victim of domestic violence and a 1 in 5 chance of being the victim of a sexual offence.
No, she doesn't. You idiot feminists had to cook the books on that. I'm sorry. That is a complete fiction. The 1 in 4 domestic things, you guys included things like the husband might yell at his wife. That's not abuse.
And worldwide, 1 in 3 women on the planet will be raped or beaten in her lifetime.
Yeah, but a lot of those countries, if that is true, and I don't think it is, well, their laws are a little different because they're Islamic, and you Brits have to basically go face down, ass up for Islam.
So I decided that argument that women were equal now and we shouldn't be making a fuss really didn't stand up to scrutiny. In fact, it seemed to me that it...
Well, okay, what do you want to do about it? Because to do anything about it, you're going to need men. Men give rights to women and we can take them away just as easily. If every man in America decided that women are no longer going to vote, and at the polling places, every man, we literally said, women are not coming in. Women are not coming in.
It really was time to make a fuss. So I set up a simple website because I realized that we couldn't solve a problem if people refused even to acknowledge that it existed. And that what I really wanted people to have was that experience that I'd had of seeing these things kind of rolled out in front of them like a map and realizing how much there was and how bad it still was. So I set up a very simple website called the Everyday Sexism Project. And I asked women and men to add their experiences of gender imbalance on a daily basis. Anything from the tiny, niggling, and normalized things.
Okay, how about, here's sexism that affects men every day. Men have absolutely zero reproductive rights. We are often roped into paying child support for several decades. If you're a rich man, you better burn any condom that you ever used, because there was a case of a hotel maid who literally took a rich guy's condom out of the trash, inserted it into herself, got pregnant, and he's on the hook for child support. NBA players travel with bottles of vinegar because of this fact. Okay, how about men getting some reproductive rights? Because we have nothing.
All the way up the scale. And I didn't.
How about the fact that generally society believes a woman's claim of rape, sexual assault, or domestic abuse on face value, and the man has to sit there and literally prove his innocence?
Have any funding or any way of publicising it, so I thought that maybe 20 or 30 women would add their stories, and I hoped that it would build a sense of solidarity and help to raise awareness. But instead, things took off a little more than I expected. 50,000 women from all over the world added their stories in 18 months. We heard from a 7-year-old disabled girl in a wheelchair and a 74-year-old woman in a mobility scooter who encountered almost identical experiences of screamed abuse about female drivers.
So you have a 7-year-old and a 70-year-old, and they got screamed abuse. It's not abuse, it's just words. But people were criticizing their driving. Again, I'm going to take things that never happened for 1,000, Alex.
A female reverend in the Church of England was asked if there was a man...
Oh, my God. You know what? Fuck it! Let's just have the goddamn Handmaid's Tale. God, at least I wouldn't have to listen to shit like this.
...available to perform the wedding or the funeral service. Nothing personal. A man was congratulated for babysitting his own children. She would sit on her boss's lap if she wanted her Christmas bonus. A woman who worked in a video store found that every time she went up the ladder to get fresh stock from the storeroom, her boss would smack her on the bum, and when she came down again, he'd look down her top and say, "You know why I hired you." A waitress was told to make a choice.
Okay, if a boss is smacking his female employee on the ass, that's assault. Why didn't she call the cops? Obviously, either A, she was fine with it, or B, liked it.
Choice between having an abortion or resigning when she fell pregnant. A 15-year-old girl wrote that...
And she could sue the shit out of her employer. Again, all the problems that you are talking about, right, have remedies already right there. But you ladies are either A, too lazy, B, too stupid or incompetent, or C, you just don't give a fuck to avail yourselves of the resources that we have right now that protect you from everything this fucking cunt is saying.
that she knew that she was clever and funny and she could do anything she wanted to do, but really it didn't matter if she became a doctor or a lawyer, because she knew from the world around her and from the media that the only thing that really mattered was whether she was sexy, whether her breasts grew and her waist narrowed, and whether boys found her attractive. A 13-year-old girl wrote to say that she'd been showed a video of sex at school on a boy's mobile phone, a video of porn, and that now she's so scared to have sex that she cries every night because she didn't realize that what sex was the woman hurting and crying. A woman in Pakistan talked about hiding abuse for the sake of family honor. A woman in Brazil.
Well, in Pakistan, there's the laws are different. That's all I'm going to say.
Brazil tried to ignore 3 men who catcalled her, only to find that they tried to drag her into their car. In Mexico...
Okay, there's a big difference between catcalling and trying to force a woman into a car.
A woman was told by her university professor, Calladita, te ves más bonita. You look prettier when you shut up.
Generally, yes. Women look prettier when they shut up. Because most of the time, they don't have a goddamn thing to say.
This was what happened when I gave a speech about politics. And this was what I got.
Wow. Random assholes on the internet. The other thing that that drives me nuts is when women just can't admit when they're wrong, which is a huge problem with modern women.
On a daily basis, but not just once a day, up to 200 times a day, just for speaking out. And ironically, these people who were sending messages because they wanted to shut the project down were just showing how very vital and needed it was. The fact that it was so scary for some people, for somebody just to want to talk about equality, just to want to raise women's voices and give their stories a platform.
Except you're equal right now. If you weren't, if women were second-class citizens, going with your own goddamn scenario, if women were second-class citizens, then guess what? You would not be giving this motherfucking talk, and I wouldn't be wanting to stab a goddamn fork in my ballsack because I'm having to listen to this.
That they had to tell me exactly how they wanted to disembowel me, and with exactly which weapons and in what order. And not just that I should be raped, but exactly how I should be raped and in which orifices and where and when. And then something else started to happen. After we'd received about 10,000 stories, we started getting some which had a very different tone. We started getting success stories. We started hearing from women like one who said that she was a keen runner, and she often experienced harassment, but she thought it was just the way things were. And then after reading the stories on the website, she realized other women were standing up to this, and other people were acknowledging that this shouldn't be normal and it wasn't okay. And the next time she went running, a guy happened to call her over from his car and ask for directions, so she went over and helped him. And then he reached out of the car window and grabbed her breasts really hard, really hurt her.
I'm going to say $10,000, things that never happened, $10,000, Alex.
And she said she felt all of the experiences, the feelings wash over her that she normally felt in that situation. Terror, embarrassment, shame, the urge to run, but she also felt something she hadn't felt before.
I'm pretty sure SA is illegal in every country on earth save a few. Just saying. God, get me to the country where I can just go, hey, baby, can you give me directions? And while you're doing that, can I fondle your tits a little bit?
Before, and it was that feeling of those women behind her standing up, and it gave her the strength just for a moment to stop and take down the guy's car number plate, and now he's been charged with assault.
Gee, it's almost like that was a good idea, assuming that happened.
We were able to take 2,000 of the stories we collected that specifically described women's experiences of harassment and assault on public transport to the British Transport Police when they decided to look at the way that they police sexual offences. We were able to break them down to hear from women's own voices why they hadn't felt able to report, and then work with the British Transport Police to send out the message to people everywhere that they were taking this seriously and that they could...
Oh my God, nobody is getting groped and fucked on the train! Again, I'm willing to believe that some guy was touching your upper thigh on the train, but I'm willing to gamble it was an ex-boyfriend and you're just lying by omission.
report it. And so far we know that that project, Project Guardian, has raised reports of harassment and assault on the tube by up to 20%. We were able to start talking to girls at universities about...
Kara, I'd love to talk to you, but I have requests to get to. Oh, fucking son of a bitch. I got the yellow triangle of doom.